Hey everyone, welcome to this week's vlog. It's been a busy week, so I'm actually going out for my first and only outside ride of the week, which is really hard to say, but I'm doing a short recovery ride, about 20 miles or so, and then coming back and hopping on the trainer for a tempo ride. But today's content is about this crit race, so let's get to it. So this crit race was fun, at least for me, because it's like it's not my first time racing in a crit, but it is my first time actually staying with any group, right? Every single race before this, I've just kind of been blown out the back. If I even finished the race, I was the last one to finish that was still in the room. So anyway, let's get into it. So to start off, this race went out pretty hard. I made the mistake of not realizing that from the gun, people were up off the front relatively quickly, but at the same time I'm kind of glad that I didn't notice that, because I like to overexert myself and just kind of be there, and I've noticed that in the past races, because I'm not holding a consistent power output or just being consistent with the way I'm riding, that I lose power, I lose energy, and then I'm at the back and nowhere to be found in the race. So this time around, I just told myself, off the gun, let's stay under 300 watts. Let's just not try to put in a strong effort and stay with a group. This was a Saturday morning crit race, so there were 75 riders here. So I knew that there was a better chance of being around other people throughout the whole race. So that's pretty much what I had to. That was my goal, is to finish with some sort of a group, and then the second goal was to place in the top 50%, right? So 75 riders, I just wanted to place somewhere around the 37, 38 kind of like margin, right? Alrighty, so let's get into it. So right off the gun, as I mentioned, it kind of gets really strung out really quickly. So as you can see here, I'm starting to settle in, but I'm struggling between, finding a group. It's still kind of a peloton, still kind of a big group, but it's super strung out. And you'll see this is the first time going up the climb of Crit City, and then this is the first time I noticed that up ahead in the turn there's already people off the front and creating gaps. So at this point I had a decision to make: try to bridge from here to no man's land way up in the front and blow myself out, or just stick with this group, work with this group, and see where we end up. So very quickly I sort of started settling in with this group, and let's skip ahead a little bit so that we can see what happens next. Start of lap 3, and here it is. This is my group, and I actually stick with this group for the rest of the race. We catch a couple people here and there, and then they get added to the group, but for the most part this is the group I stay in for the rest of the race. It gets smaller, and towards the end I think there's only 3 of us left, and then we get caught by another group that was fast approaching. So I think it's just because our group got so small, we weren't working as much with like trying to block air and create a better draft. So this group takes me to the end, takes me to the second to the last lap, and let's get to that second to the last lap and figure out how this all ends. right, so we're coming around the second to last corner of starting the second to last lap, and as you can see here is my group, 3 riders. This is who I ended up sticking with and rode for the actually about 2-3 laps before we got to this point. And I can point it out in the you know, in the standings. There's a group that's 19-20 seconds back leading into this second to last lap. That's the group that ends up catching us and plays a role in what happens at the very end of the race. So here we are, second to last lap, still with this group, still holding strong, starting to realize that that group is going to catch us. So at this point I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna conserve some energy here and hope that when that group does catch us, I can hook on and go with them, because they're coming fast. They're just coming down the start straight now, the start finish line now. So you know, here I am saying I'm gonna conserve energy going into the lap. Then I realized I got an undraftable bonus. I was like, you know what, let me try to drop the 2 people that I've been working with the whole race. Terrible mistake, didn't get anywhere. So went right back into sitting in, and hopefully I can pick up that draft. One thing I did notice about my fitness during this race is that I felt a lot better here than I did last week when I did the FTP test. And after this race, my FTP did go up by 2 watts. So I went from 162 back up to 164, which was my previous FTP after I did my very first FTP test back in October. So that's pretty much kind of like where I'm back at now. I'm back at 164. Not a great number still, but a lot better than I was hoping for. So you can see here, I got dropped a little bit on this climb. Those rolling hills in Crit City are hard. They hurt, and then in reverse layout, in this layout, after the rolling hills, you go straight into the only climb really of the course. So that burns your legs really quickly. So fortunately, I can get close enough to the wheel here so that I can, on the downhill, hook back on and continue to ride with these 2 riders. So here we are, we survived the second to last lap. That climb is where I get dropped all the time, either in reverse or in the standard layout. So fortunately I was able to stay close enough so that on the descent I can catch back up to at least this guy. I'm not sure, I can't remember if we lose the wheel of our third rider or if we catch him back up here, but we'll see soon. So getting ready for the last lap, and you can see that he's still up the road a bit, and that was the rider that was with us in our group. So I'm not sure if we catch him. But going back to FTP, another thing I noticed is so the first time I tried to actually, so yeah, full disclosure, this is the second time I filmed a Crit City race. The first time I filmed it, I deleted it. I mean, I didn't even get through 1 lap with the group. There was only 10 riders, and at the end of the first lap, I was toast. They went out at 400-500 watts, and I don't know why they're in the D category race group, but it happens. I deleted it. I didn't think it was not because I don't want to show the good and bad, but just because there wasn't enough content there to even upload a video. It was like, you know, a minute long race, so I used the rest of the time as like a cool down and recovery ride. So yeah, not much there. So here we are going into the final lap. At this point, you can see the group behind us. They're just now coming around the last corner. So my goal here is to just keep it below threshold, and hope and pray that I get a good power up. And I think fortunately I did end up getting a draft boost. So at this point, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna sprint at the end. I don't know how much I have left. I probably don't have much of a sprint anyway to begin with. But in my head, I'm thinking, all right, this group behind us is gonna catch. I'm in 30th place now. I want to finish relatively well. So this is my race. This is like, my race is here. I'm in my head, I'm thinking, if I beat this group in first, I win. If I get podium, I got podium. You can see my dad distracts me there for a second. He just wanted to check out what it was like. So here we are. We get caught by the group. I am just hanging on for dear life at this point. You see that power output goes really high. I did that so that I can hook back on, and we were able to do so, and fortunately able to survive the climb again, which has been my biggest problem. Anytime there's any sort of climb, I just lose strength, and I think the biggest issue is that I drop my cadence, and I know I'm a spinner, but I turn into a grinder on some of these climbs, and that doesn't help me, and eventually I just lose my power. So somehow I end up in the front of the group here. Not what I want to be doing, but I'm not putting out too much power over my threshold. 200 watts I know I can sustain for at least 30 seconds relatively easily, if not longer, honestly. No, 200 watts, what? No, I can hold that for a lot longer. It's the 400, 500 watt range where I'm like 30 seconds and I'm done. So yeah, here we go, back down the hill, 120 watts, 111 watts, 100 watts, like not pushing any power here anymore. At this point in my head, I'm thinking someone's gonna go, and now I'm trying to figure out, do I go with them, or do I hold and try to catch them later with the group? And there he goes, boom, red and white jersey. He's gone. He pretty much started sprinting at the bottom of that hill, and he just pushed, and so he's up the road. One went with him. So there goes podium in my mind, right? Like there goes first and second. I'm already back a few wheels, so I'm not gonna make it, but they get brought back. And the group is able to catch them back up and get back on their wheels. So at this point, I actually did consider, do I go? Do I make the move? But I have the draft bonus, so I held up a little bit and unfortunately decided to hold up as soon as the second attack went with this rider that just makes it up the front. He does end up winning from this little bunch here, but I just said, all right, fuck it, drop the drafting boost, get a little bit of a draft of this guy in orange, and then go from there and outsprint anyone chasing. But unfortunately, the guy that did move early takes the win from this bunch, and then I get caught up by someone that hooked onto my wheel, and I get third in that. But I did end up in 30th, so very solid finish for me out of 75. I'm super excited about that. As you can see, my average, oh no, I didn't get 30th. 1 second. 31st. There's my name. And average power for that was 172 watts, and my heart rate was at 176. Yeah. And this is the fastest time I've ever finished a race in Crit City, so I was really excited about that, super hyped that I was able to even do that. So yeah, that is my first experience with actually being somewhat competitive with the crit race on Zwift. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, trying to figure out where do we go from here. I might do some more outdoor type vlog-esque videos, but for now, this is Couch to Crit. I'll see y'all next time.